Hello everyone. In this video we are going to create a prime number checker. So before we actually start to dive in the code, we need to actually understand how we're gonna go about creating such a program. Now, what is a prime number? Firstly, a prime number is a number that just has two factors. So we need to count the number of factors. First we have to find the factors and then we have to count them. So we have to implement some sort of logic, write some logic that can achieve that. Alright, so one way of doing this is that you can use a loop and you can start at number 1 and you can end at the number that you are checking. Say for example I want to check 35 for a prime number, so I'm going to start at 1 and I'm going to loop from 1 till 35, okay, and 35, and I'm going to try to divide all the numbers in that range by the 35. So I'm going to first divide 1 by 35 to check if it divides equally. If it does divide equally, then I'm going to implement some feature. I'm going to see that we have a factor. Okay, so I'm going to say that I'm going to have a variable that counts the number of factors and I'm going to increment them. Then I'm going to increment, I'm going to loop the second time. So now the number is 2. I'm going to check if 2 divides in 35. It doesn't divide in 35 equally, so I'm going to leave that. Then I'm going to loop the third time, then the fourth time, then the fifth time. I'm going to check 5 can divide in 35. Yes, and then I'm going to increment the loop, such like that. So that's pretty much the logic. Now we need some implementation. Firstly, for input we're going to take user input. So we're going to create a variable called number, or just make it num for short. Now I'm going to use the input function in Python to take input. Okay, I'm going to say enter number. Alright, and this guy is going to capture the number, and of course once we capture the number is going to be string. So we're going to make this an integer. We're going to convert it into an int. Okay, we're dealing with integers, not floats, because when we do prime checking, right, prime numbers, we don't deal with decimals. So we have this now, right? And then I'm going to implement another variable called count. I'm going to make that equal to 0. Okay, we're going to initialize it to 0. After that I'm going to have a loop for I. I'm going to have a for loop. And why a for loop? Why not a while loop? Well, because the for loop has a function called range. For I in range, okay, basically we know how many times we have to loop. That's why we're using a for loop. Then from 1 till number. Okay, and why do we do num? We need to do num plus 1. And why is that? Because this last parameter is excluded, so we have to loop one more time to achieve the desired the exact amount. Okay, so then we have an if statement, right, where we actually take this num and we divide it by I, and not an ordinary division. We are checking here if the division is perfect. Okay, so we use the modulus operator and check if it gives us a remainder of 0. If it does give us a remainder of 0, then we're gonna increment the count variable. Okay, the number of factors. Then once that's done, I'm gonna I'm gonna loop from the lower bound to the from 1 to the upper bound. Alright, and then I'm gonna see if count variable is actually in fact equal to 2, meaning that there is 2 factors. Then I'm gonna say print prime. Okay, the number is prime. And if it isn't, then I'm gonna print not prime. So Simple as that. Now this is just how the code is going to work. So let's just run it for now. Just maybe once. Let's run it once. Enter a number. I'm going to enter a number 93. Is 93 prime? I don't know. Let's try 2. Is 2 prime? It's prime, so it works. So there we go, it works. Perfect. 11, it's prime. Let's try 1000. Not prime, so it's working. That's good. But I want something that, like, we don't have to keep on running the file. We need to, it keeps on asking for input. So how do we achieve that? Well, we can have a while loop, isn't it? So in a while loop, what I'm going to do is the following. I'm going to say while, and I'm just going to say true, because I want to keep running the loop. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take all of these and I'm just going to indent them like that, and accidentally, like, that got indented. Right, so here we go. Enter number. I enter 1, not prime. 2 prime. 3 prime. 4 not prime. 5 prime. 6 not prime. 7 8 9 is not prime. Oh yeah, it isn't prime, I forgot. 10 not prime. 11 prime. So yeah, there we go.